Hey everybody, it's Aldebar here, back with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to draw your Roblox avatar. I went ahead and printed out my character for reference, but you don't have to do this. If you have it on your phone or laptop or whatever and just want to pull it up so you can look at it, that works too. I am going to be using drawing guidelines in this video, so having a ruler can be really helpful, but it's not absolutely necessary unless you're a perfectionist. I wanted to make sure I could teach this tutorial really well, so I went ahead and already drew this at least a few times, so that way I'd make it really understandable for you guys. So that's why I'm taping this paper down over top of the other one, is just to make sure that I get all the lines right and I can explain this properly. I'm going to do as much of this tutorial in real time as possible, but if I'm going too fast at any point, please make sure you pause the video so you can take your time with it. Today I'm going to draw a male character and a female character, but you can customize this however you'd like to make it fit yours. Getting out my ruler, I'm going to go ahead and draw 2 squares for my characters. Each square is 5 inches by 5 inches. The reason I'm making them into squares is so that way they can be used as profile pictures when I'm done with them. All I have to do is just take a photo and edit it if I want. I recommend drawing in your guidelines with your pencil. I'm only using a Sharpie so it'll show up on camera. Please, please, please use a pencil so you can erase it later. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave a comment and I try to respond to as many as possible. So you're going to go ahead and cut your squares in half. And if you're using a 5 inch by 5 inch square, that's 2.5 inches. Going across the top, I'm going to cut this in half again vertically. So now you should have your square with a plus sign in it. Since I'm drawing 2 characters, I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on the other square as well. So I promise this will be the last of the guidelines. This is just to make it easier on you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and cut my square into quarters now, going across horizontally. This means I should have 4 even pieces. If you look at the little image here, you'll see 3 little red X's. That just means I have 3 lines going across. So I'm going to draw the male character first, just because he's a little bit easier than the female. If you're a beginner to art, artists like to start with very basic shapes and add detail later, because you want to make sure that the base and the structure of your drawing is solid before you go in adding all the sparkles. Please make sure you draw very, very light so it's easier to erase later. A lot of people don't realize how hard they're drawing. So our first step, we're going to draw a circle, and don't feel bad if your circle isn't perfect. Some circles might look a little bit ovally, but that's okay. So the very center of our circle should be near the top of the square on the very first horizontal line, and I put it in the center of the page. So now we're going to go ahead and add the jaw to our circle, and if you've never drawn a jaw before, it kind of looks like a roof of a house upside down. I'm going to go ahead and add in the neck and the shoulders, and for males, I like to make their necks a little bit thicker than females because it just makes it look a little bit more masculine, and I also like to give them slightly wider shoulders. A mistake a lot of beginners make is they make the shoulders completely flat, when honestly they're kind of angled like little wedges. When drawing in the ears, they look a little bit like little parentheses coming off the side of his head. I'm going to go ahead and draw in the arms and the torso, but I'm going to explain the torso first. I'm trying to keep this tutorial as simple as possible so almost anyone could follow it. However, there's 2 different options you can do for the torso. Option 1 is what I'm drawing today, but option 2 is you can give him abs. They're a little bit more complicated to draw, but here's an example if you want to try it. When drawing the torso, the lines going up and down aren't completely straight. They're kind of at an angle if you look at them, and they're a little bit curvy. But be careful, because if you go a little bit too far with it, it might look more feminine than you want. You have 2 different options with the hand as well. Again, I'm trying to keep this tutorial basic, so I'm going to go with option 1, which is kind of like trying like a little mitten shape. Personally, I like to give my males a little bit thicker arms in comparison to my females because, again, just having skinnier arms give off a more feminine look. When drawing in the hand that is waving, the elbow is at the bottom horizontal line. If you're looking at the guidelines, the center horizontal line, aka the second one, actually lines up with not just the shoulders, but also the hand. You'll see that the center of the mitten lies on that line. When I draw male eyebrows, I tend to make them a little bit thicker than females as well. But when drawing eyebrows, they're basically just two little curved arches. As for the eyes, it's kind of like a C shape that's been rotated and then an oval in the center and a little smile line underneath. Then I just add in a little slanted line for the nose and a little curve for the smile. So, as I said before, the female's a little bit harder to draw, and the reason for that is the male is facing right at you, right at the camera, and the female's actually at a bit of an angle, so there's a little bit of perspective going on, which makes things look a little bit different. So draw in your circle at the first horizontal line, just like we did with the guy, except this time the jaw is going to be at a slight angle. Just like how we did the guy, go ahead and draw in the face. The eyebrows are thinner though, and we are also going to add some eyelashes on top. I'm going to give the girl a thinner neck and also thinner arms later on, but just like we did with the guy, the shoulders are going to end at the middle second horizontal line. At this point, I kind of draw the torso and the arms and the legs all at the same time, but I'm going to explain them individually. Starting with the torso, if you've never drawn a female torso before, the main shape is kind of like an hourglass, which is like two trapezoids stacked on top of each other. At the bottom, I kind of add this little triangle, and at the top, I have a space for her collarbone and neck area. It's really important that you make her torso long enough to do this, otherwise her little female circle parts won't look right. I'm trying to avoid certain words so YouTube doesn't restrict me. Something to remember about the female top is that they're teardrop shaped and they have a little bit of a space between them. Most people like to draw in a little triangle to remember, and also they have to come down far enough. Some people draw them up way too high. Go ahead and add in your arms and legs. The hand is actually at the third horizontal line, and the hand looks like a little ear shape with a smile inside. The elbows are in the center of the third quarter, in between the second and the third horizontal lines. The outside lines for your legs, where the hips are, should start at the third horizontal line. Now I'm just cleaning up my lines a little bit and making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. After I'm done cleaning everything up, I'm going to get another sheet of paper and trace over the art I just did. And I highly recommend you do this, especially if you're a beginner and you're trying to draw your very first full artwork. The reason for that is you might have spent all this time drawing the body, and the last thing you want to do is mess up your hard work. So it's better to just copy over it and do your final drawing. Now here's the fun part, but also the harder part. We get to turn the character into the ROBLOX avatar. So what we're going to do is figure out the shapes we need in order to make our ROBLOX avatar's outfit. So for example, my character's wearing a paper hat, and I traced over it and figured out that it's made out of different triangles and rectangles. In order to trace over it and figure out what shapes you need in order to draw it, you're going to either want to print out your character and take another sheet of paper to trace over it, or if you're just using your device, you can open it up in an app like PixArt, or if you're on your computer, an app like Microsoft Paint, and just trace over the shapes and figure out what shapes you need in order to draw it. As an example, I have a little teddy bear item, and it's actually just made out of a bunch of different circles and ovals. If you're still struggling though, check out the link tree that's down below in the description. For anyone who's 13 years or older, you can join. It's a little group of artists, and myself and others can show you how to draw your more complicated items. So I ended up coloring this with Crayola Super Tips and colored pencils, and even though I have more expensive art supplies, I wanted to show you guys you can do this with literally anything. And I decided to not draw in the background. I decided to take a photo of each of the artworks and then edit them in PixArt, and I just removed the background, which you can also use a separate app for that to make it faster, but I manually removed the background, and then I just added in a bunch of effects so it could be used as a profile picture. If you're wondering, the male character used in this video was my husband's and the female was mine. Are you guys ready to see what the final art looks like? I'm so excited. If you guys have any questions, make sure you comment them down below. I try to answer as many as possible, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye! 9 cat away.